5 seconds remaining. Dire team back.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are here officially for finals day of the BTS Pro Series number 4. And it is, of course, Santa Claus himself. I don't know why the tag says MLP Dota. It is Santa Claus, obviously. And also Santa's little helper, of course, John Expire. John, welcome, sir. It's our first time casting together. I hope you're ready, because I've got to say, Santa knows how to cast some Dota.
Team back. Seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. TNC Predators turn to ban.
Yeah, absolutely, John. Now, I've got to admit to you, reception's a bit bad in North Pole with the, the magnetic fields and the actual pole itself going on. So we haven't really got the best internet over there. So I haven't watched much of the BTS Pro Series 4. But I suppose I'll ask you, because you are the expert. I always see you casting with that really handsome devil, that MLP Dota. Which team do you think is the favorite going into this matchup?
Seconds remaining. TNC Predators turn. 10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Course. With that, before we do, I'm not sure how you guys do it over at BTS, but I wanted to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, BTS for BTS Pro Series 4, of course, Monster Energy. Santa can't get many of these up at the North Pole, John, but I did get myself a pipeline punch down when I did arrive in Australia. Of course, Mike LaPhoenix, he has plenty of monsters in the fridge. And Santa just took one for himself. Great stuff. Obviously keep me energized while I'm delivering presents all night, John. It's not easy, right? It's not easy stuff. True.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
You saw. Yeah.
TNC Predators turn to ban. Dire team ban.
I would agree with you, John. I don't really like the Wind Ranger as well. I mean, I know you pointed it out and you said it might be the Gabby hero, and you know, it was yesterday from Gabby, and obviously it did not work out in their favor. We'll see what they do with it, though. Of course, they could just run it as a position 4. Maybe they have something special up their sleeves. Only time will tell. T1 looking pretty dangerous already with the Viper Earth Spirit. A very, very strong combination to have in the off lane. Very hard to deal with. Of course, if you did have the position 1 Wind Ranger, you wouldn't have too many issues with it, because you can wind run and evade a lot of the damage, but still going to be quite dangerous. Nevertheless, moving on, John, we've got to go into the next pick phase, and of course we are going to have to wait for the bans to come out, but I am liking what I see from T1 already.
Ten seconds remaining. Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. TNC Predators turn to ban.
Absolutely. Of course, John, did you point out the fact that you appear to be wearing a barong, if I remember the words? Very nice. You look very handsome, sir. Are you getting married later on after the cast, or?
5 seconds remaining.
Thank you for that.
TNC Predators.
Thank you for that. You are a splendid gentleman. You know that. TNC Predator, their third pickup now. They are lacking some team fight. You've got the nice egg going on. You've got the shackles, but that's not going to be enough. You want something to try and combo with the egg here. And, well, they bring up the Mirana. So that does indicate that we aren't going to see the POS 4 Wind Ranger here. It should be the Tim's Mirana, naturally, because he never misses arrows. So you would just want to have him playing that hero. And I'm still feeling like we are lacking a bit of team fight. Honestly, like there's a lot of single target kind of disable. I need a bit more than this. I need something like an off-lane Mars combo with this Phoenix, I believe.
TNC Predators turn
Crystal Maiden.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Absolutely. They'll have a bit of a think, see what they can get going for themselves. So a reminder to the lovely viewers in chat, I am watching very carefully. Be naughty this year, only 5 days away from Christmas. If you want those Arcanas, if you want to get lucky. Oh, a Brewmaster comes out. This is a KP special, John. The Brewmaster. I mean, you've been calling it for maybe a month or two now. You've been saying you'd love to see the KP Brewmaster pop up. It did receive that buff where you get the Void Spirit now, which is kind of nice. I don't know if that's going to make all the difference, but what I do know is KP is very, very good at playing Brewmaster.
Dire team ban.
Juggernaut.
Ten seconds remaining.
TNC Predators turn to ban.
Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
No, I do agree with you on that. Because we haven't brought up the fact that this isn't really a battle between T1 and TNC, John. It's a battle between March and Febby. That's what it's all about here. That is literally what it's all about. It's not even about these teams anymore. It's literally March versus Febby to see who really is the biggest and greatest Dota 2 Korean superstar. That's what we're trying to figure out here today. T1, last pickup now. They are lacking their mid lane for Armel, so, excuse me, not Armel, this is T1. They are lacking Karl's mid lane. That being said, Armel is also lacking a mid kind of hero for his own side of things, but we'll go to Karlh first, see what he does want to pick up. Unless he plays the Viper, but I highly doubt that. I think you do run the Viper Earth Spirit off lane, and they'll go for the Puck. It's a great lockdown. You've got the Wind Ranger, you've got the Mirana, you've got the Phoenix, all of which are quite mobile until you get Dream Coiled, in which case you aren't mobile at all anymore. Great scalability with the Puck once you go to the Aghanim Scepter. I can't remember what the Aghanim Shards do because I never played Puck, John, but I'm sure it's something stupid. Oh, you know what it is? Is that when you use the silence, you knock people back, right? All right. I do agree. That's what we like to see, John. It's finals day. No more kind of sitting back, relaxing, running the old meta. Let's bring the new in, see what this patch has in store for us. TNC, 20 seconds left. Not much time to think. They still need that Armel hero. I mean, he has the Quap available if he wants to go down the Quap route. I don't think it's going to be too bad here if he does want to go down that route. You've got the Kunkka there as well. You can go to the TA, but they're going to go TB. So Armel mid-Wind Ranger then, is what I'm thinking. with that, John, we do go into game number 1 of this lower bracket final between T1 and TNC Predator. And see how this one does go down. Of course, loser of this is going to have to leave the tournament. The winner will go straight through to the grand final, where Team Dog is currently...
A game of some sort?
No holds barred in this series, John. They've got to give it everything they've got. Last games of the year as well for both these teams. So you'd expect a real show on from these two. And of course, Santa forgot to put some settings up, so we'll just fix those quickly.
Oh, wait, no, I couldn't.
What did Kuka say?
Greetings!
Celebrate. Celebrate in the mad moon.
Are they, John? Are they really fans of Dota? Of course he does. He's a winner, John. You've got to get every advantage you can get. It's all that matters.
The next label play. The next label play.
Did you have merienda today, sir? Good. I expect some pretty good analysis from you then, John. We're not giving you monster for no reason, all right? Wait, is this a pub game? What's going on? Come on now. Zephyr has not had merienda today, John. It's very, very clear. He's just run off to have a quick bite. And, oh, no. But obviously, go on. Yeah. No, Gabby did try to say hello to March, and March completely ignored. He gave him the John X Fire treatment, what I like to call it. Just completely ignoring. March only can play Lesh. You know, it's kind of true. I was watching a March stream, and he was just spamming Lesh over and over again. Oh, poor March. Even once he's like retired as player and he goes into coach, he's still just copying crap from everyone. You March. Never change. True. March will be getting some very good gifts this year, John. It depends how he behaves in this game. If he has a positive performance, maybe I'll send him a rubber ducky. Maybe not. Depends on how good Febby plays today. We'll see.
To your head.
Santa's not all nice, just cookies and milk, John. Right? It's about business here. We need performance.
Looking good.
Could be worse. Could be worse. No, I couldn't. Oh, wait, no, I couldn't.
30 seconds to battle.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. I mean, I guess Gabby's just practicing for Hoodwink now, because they are the exact same hero, after all. It's like top lane, Jackie's going to say hello to Tims. Tims will just kind of walk away very, very sad. A bit of HP there, but he's going to be all right. KP now going to go and try and say hello to Jackie, but Jackie does not want a part of it. He's just going to try and set up for that first bounty run up at the top lane. Hasn't skilled up spin yet, and in fact, they're just going to back off. So it looks like Jackie not too interested in wasting his time, losing regen. Yeah, he wants to save that skill point, see if he needs it for something better. He's going to have Whiteman along with him. So I guess with the CM Jug combination, it is quite potent to have that early spin. But we'll see what they get up to. For now, they're just going to hold out. Oh, Jackie. Yeah, great arrow. Tim's usually always does this, John. He doesn't miss. We saw it in our first arrow of the game. Jackie just cops one to the backside. Not a very good feeling there for Jackie, but he's going to be all right. Of course, we'll have a look over to the mid lane, where we do see Armel up against Kailh. Gotta admit, John, I haven't seen Armel playing the Wind Ranger that much. I believe we have casted it in the past, but it is a very rare occurrence. Do you think it's going to be great up against this Puck?
It should be able to hold its own. It's got a get out of jail card for free with a wind run. So if Karl does want to play aggressive with the orb coming in, trying to get right clicks off, well, the wind run's just going to break that off a bit. It should be rather even in terms of farm overall, although you are seeing Karl fall slightly behind, and Armel is getting rewarded for his aggression. He's missing a couple of power shots, but he is forcing Karl to drop really low. Karl's going to have to eat through his second shared tango now, and that will mean that, you know, he's going to have to pop the salve down the line. He might have to pop the fairy fire as well, so he's got to be a bit cautious in this downtime before the power runes come in and before those bottles come out as well. So the rune's going to be extra important for both heroes. That's where Karl should have a slight advantage, but you can never discount a Wind Ranger with Wind Run.
Absolutely not. And of course, the last lane that we haven't quite looked at yet, the bot lane, you'll see Febby there up against Zephyr and Cuckoo. And of course, you've got Gabby on his Terrorblade. Very, very good at this hero as well. Still a very, very tough laning stage here for Gabby, but Febby is trying his absolute best to keep them back and make sure the Viper can't just have a kind of stagnant lane. Although Zephyr now actually getting caught out, he'll go for the boulder smash. Try to run away with a nice TP, and he is going to make it out. Nice little TP out there from Zephyr, and he actually had a salve on the courier that was coming as he was TPing it back towards that tier 1 tower. So he will be able to salve up, but the problem is the salve gets cancelled halfway through by Febby. That means he's not going to get quite as much effectiveness out of that salve, but he's still going to be pretty healthy. His top lane, the kills do happen. Apparently, Whitemon able to pick up a kill on 2.
Yeah, it's just that solid spin and root combination you'd expect from the Jug CM. Really stable lane. KP, he was left alone by Tim, so he couldn't really get any sort of relief. Jackie, a bit of poor micro in that courier does get caught out, so at least they get that consolation prize. But KP, you know, this is not a lane he's doing all too well in. You'd expect him to do a bit better, but with Tim's going for, you know, doing Tim's things, pulling the wave perhaps, getting some EXP elsewhere, a solo Brewmaster is fairly vulnerable if it does get caught out. So you will have to watch the movement of Whitemon. He is the setup for that combination, and without any forward vision here, KP just runs the risk of being ambushed every time.
Jeez, Karl gets very, very low on that mid lane up against Armel. I believe Armel did land a very nice shackles there onto Karl, and he's going to be all right. He does heal up once again. However, down towards the bot lane, Gabby is going to eventually get chased down by Cuckoo and Zephyr and does end up dying. And this was something I was kind of waiting for. Again, it is a very, very tough lane for the Terrorblade, and eventually Cuckoo does get a kill there.
Oh, yeah. It's all the magic damage they've got here on the side of T1. Like the Terrorblade, low HP, high armor, which means Viper doesn't really particularly care for that and just can melt right through with its magic damage. Even Zephyr now, right? Level 3 up, combination starting to hit a lot harder. Every single time Gabby does not have Metamorphosis, he's a sitting duck. So it's harder for him to walk up there and last hit. But as long as he pops the meta, that is downtime for T1. Cuckoo and Zephyr will have to take a step back, wait for that spell to just fade out. They at least can clear out the way with Nether Toxin. So even with Metamorphosis up, they still find something here in this lane, just kind of keeps it steady for T1.
Absolutely. Still a very quiet game, 5 minutes in, 0-2, but it might get active now as The bounty runes are about to spawn up. Tim's getting very low on that Mirana. We'll still be able to secure both top bounty runes, but it looks like the bottom ones were also going to be secured by T1 anyway. So a nice even trade with those bounties. The game continues. Both teams pretty happy to just keep it going a bit slower. You don't exactly have the most active drafts up until you get past the roughly the 10-minute mark is where I imagine both teams will get a lot more active. But now, though, they are pretty relaxed and just happy to just chill out and farm. I think that is probably the right decision for both teams. If there's anyone really that can get active, you know, at the 5-6 minute mark quite yet.
Nah, it's going to take both sides some levels to build up, a little bit of farm. I think we're looking at, I mean, you've got 6 in Karl, but he might just wait for level 7, level 8 is when we tend to see the mids rotate out. Of course, our Jug is just getting some steady farm. You can't really expect Jackie to start fighting. For the Mask of Madness build, which I do like to see on Jugs, so his farm is set to escalate if he is left alone. And Tim
lane, they do catch out Tim's with that Dream Coil. Kick back, oh, great snap there from Zephyr. It's a little combination we didn't really talk about too much, John, but the Dream Coil and kick away can be quite devastating, especially if you are a squishy support like the Mirana.
Yep, just a nice pickup there to help Karl escalate as well. So a really timely rotation out from Zephyr, and they've got to watch that kickback from Zephyr. He's already being annoying here. They've got this deep ward, keeping track of that camp in that bot jungle, keeping track of where Gabby's farming. So it's not smooth sailing for Gabby. He's been under pressure down bot. Although good arrow.
Yeah, great arrow in from Tim's. He's going to punish Zephyr for this, or maybe not the leap. Oh, Tim's, he went for a really smart play. Now Febi's courier is going to go down. And Zephyr, he's a man on the run. He's a fugitive right now, John. Tim's is going to chase him down. Arrow right to the back, and he should get this kill, though. Zephyr, no. You can't get away from this. Febi will be on the chase. Febi will secure the kill. A very, very close call there for Zephyr. And I just want to point out how smart Tim's was there, John. He saw the roll going from Zephyr, and he tried to leap to block the roll away from Zephyr as he wasn't in front. And unfortunately, he mistimed it just by a little bit. But that would have been an amazing play had he leaped and stopped the roll midair.
Oh, absolutely. Just a lot of back and forth mechanically there for both sides. And they go again.
Yeah, Dream Core is going to be there. Zephyr, no need to kick him back this time, but they have plenty of control. They'll take him out very easily. And as I'm praising Tim's, he does die straight away. So I guess I'll just stop praising people now. Of course, top lane, Jackie is still farming away, and you pointed out the fact that he is going for the Mask of Madness build. He's also just currently top of the net worth board, as we tend to expect from Jackie. But the one real concerning thing right now for TNC is he's just about 1k ahead of Gabby on the Terrorblade. Although mid lane, Zephyr is going to die to Tim's. Now Karl going in, trying to go after Armel, but they have to get out. As KP was also rotating, and he will salve up Armel. KB, he does have the split. He'd love to have a crack at Whitemon or Karl. Karl will now show himself back onto Armel. Another dream call out. Armel very low, but Karl, he does not stick around to finish the kill off. Now the arrow landing perfectly from Tim's. They will get the puck, and now they go straight into the mid lane where they can clean this tower up with this metamorphosis.
Oh, it's going to be a really fast push as well. The puck, a lot of your team fights missing. They don't really want to have to drag Jackie down, so they're going to have to let this. Although the TP is coming in, it's a bit late.
Well, Jackie, this could have been a mistake. Not going to get punished. He'll be okay. Zephyr going to go in now. Goes for the Sarge, but the kick is not actually going to land. They could go after KP instead, but he can just go for the split, and he'll just turn back around onto the Earth Spirit, and that's going to be Zephyr going down. TNC, great rotations into that mid lane. They find a hell of a lot there. No, they basically even out the net worth.
That's a big set of wins for them. They also managed to get some deep wards in right before that fight, so they've got this ward watching the triangle and watching that entry ramp on the top jungle, making it really easy to track where Jackie's farming. This might cause some issues for Jackie if they don't get some D wards out. So heads up plays from TNC. They know what Jackie wants to do. They're already preempting that movement around the map, and with the mid tier 1 gone, rotations are slightly easier. T1 have to put some effort in to protect some of their side towers now, just ensuring that they've got a grip holder, TP points to help them control some farming areas for Jackie.
No, I do agree with that, John. Of course, the 10-minute bounty runes are going to be up now. Zephyr trying to set up for the top ones. Looks like he's not even going to bother. They are secured by TNC, but cheeky little Febby. They were meant to go to the side of T1 down at that bot side, but Febby does Icarus dive perfectly and does get the third bounty rune for his team. So that's going to give TNC a slight net worth lead now. Even with this Invis rune, he can scout out Cuckoo, and Cuckoo could secretly be in a lot of trouble if he's not too careful. Febby, he's also going to be slightly careful as that Invis is halfway through. Even Whitemon showing up, but Febby just giving so much information back towards his team. It looks like they aren't really going to use the info. They are going to go for the arrow onto the siege creep, but that's all they're going to get. That T1 tower is still set to fall as now Tim's be chased down by Whitemon. Whitemon would love to go for that TP cancellation. Can't quite get the vision. Everything's still going to be perfectly fine for both teams. A 4-for-4, slight net worth lead to T1. Very close game to get us started on finals day.
Yeah, it's just an even start. Neither side really finding a major advantage yet, although I'd say TNC, with that mid-tier 1 gone, is a little bit better off in terms of map control. They are setting up for a tier 1 push up top now. It's only Karlh to defend. There are 3 heroes up top there from TNC. They've got the split and egg ready. So this could be a risky fight for a T1 if they were going to go for a defense, but looks like they're just happy enough finding farm. Jackie is pretty far forward, farming alone, but there's no threat with everyone showing up top.
Absolutely. T1, I mean, with this jug, I guess you just don't really feel like fighting too early on if you can avoid it. And we've seen what T1 does with Jackie. They always just allow him to farm, but they have rotated towards the mid-tier 1 tower. Now, if you're TNC, you do have the ability to try and defend this. Problem is, Gabby's meta is on a very long cooldown right now, so TNC, they're still going to try and slow this down. Of course, Jackie does have the Omni, so they have to be slightly careful, but just with their presence alone, KP, he goes for the front line, and they will be able to defend successfully. Of course, Jackie will just go back to farming now. He does want that MKB up ASAP. Problem is for Jackie is Gabby is catching up very, very fast on this TB now. Only about 600 gold behind. Second in net worth, and that is still going to be a pretty big cause of concern for T1 if they don't deal with Gabby.
He's going to be a hard hero to pin down. He's got his Yasha up. He's going for the Dragonlance next, so his stats are starting to fly up. And they are slowly but surely just keeping control in that jungle. Those wards we talked about, they're still up there. Whitemon does find one, but the triangle ward still stands. So you still have a lot of information TNC's been able to use quite well. This has enabled Gabby to play that farming game, as they're always sort of, they sort of have an idea as to where T1 is, so they know their Terrorblade's not under threat. This is a bit of a mistake for T1. Gabby is keeping up with Jackie. Like, Jackie's still ahead, but Gabby at this position with the Terrorblade, there is a bit more oomph to the Terrorblade early because of Metamorphosis. It does kind of taper out in mid of the game, but towards the late game it becomes kind of hard to control as well. So there's some spikes here T1 has to be aware of. They do smoke up, trying to hunt Gabby though.
They do. You've had that Omni on cooldown or off cooldown for such a long time. You'd love to just commit it if you were Jackie, but he's going to hang out in the mid lane for now as the rest of the team does rotate. Problem is, Febby's going to break the smoke, but Jackie is still going to be targeted with a great silent stream call out, and they burst him down with Whitemon. It truly is Christmas with Whitemon, John. The freezing field does get the job done in a very snowy fashion.
Absolutely. Just really ripping through. And that's the one weakness of that Terrorblade. Before the BKB is up, not only are you worried about your Metamorphosis timing, but you're very worried about the magic damage flowing out here from T1. A good rotation out. That's the target they were looking for. They find the mid-tier 1 as well, and they find a double damage rune. So T1 just get everything they can from the map and bring that lead back their way. Not a massive lead, though. Just about less than 1k. Most of that riding on Jackie. So TNC are still finding their own resources on the map. You look at KP, he's already got the Hood of Defiance, he's got his Urn starting to build up charges, he's level 10 now. So he's going to hit some pretty good spikes, especially once he hits level 12 with a second level in Primal Split. That could be a very big headache to deal with in the team fights. We haven't seen Febby commit his egg yet. We haven't seen a big enough fight for the egg to drop. But those tools from TNC have yet to be revealed.
Of some sort?
KP's going to spot out Kailh. Just trying to zone him out from those bounty runes on the top side. It's going to be another 2 for 2. Once again, T1, they do manage to get the bottom, and of course TNC get the top bounties.
Earth's bounty.
I think TNC right now, as long as Gabby's farming, they're going to be pretty happy. He was slowed down quite a bit after that one death he had. Rather, the second death he had. Problem is, Jackie's about to finish that MKB off. He's just the Demon Edge away, and of course, with his farming speed, it's not going to take very long for Jackie to finish this off. And if he gets really lucky, he'll have the MKB up with the DD still in the bottle, and he can take advantage of both of them straight off the bat. And that is a very, very potent combination to have with an Omni.
Vanish.
They can catch it. There was a smoke out from TNC. Cuckoo.
AT gonna go on to Cuckoo. Run of Atos is there, but there's your split coming out with an arrow out from Tim's. That's gonna be a very dead Viper. KP trying to have a look for more. Orb is gonna be there. Kailh goes onto the high ground now on KP. He does not have vision. Mel could power shot for this if he really wants to. They should know Kailh is still up there, but he will eventually just orb and jump back down. And it looks like they're just satisfied with the fact that they do kill off Cuckoo. That'll be enough for TNC. They're not going to push anything further than they need to.
It's a core pickup for free. You're not going to be upset about that at all if you're TNC. T1, their Viper has been lagging behind. Definitely the lowest core in their end. Still slightly ahead of KP, so that's a bit of a consolation prize for T1. That the fact that Cuckoo's still somehow farming a little bit better than our Brewmaster is. You do want to keep it that way. We've seen Vipers fall behind, and it's never a pretty picture, so you want Cuckoo to get these aura items up soon. He's saving up for his mech. Once you've got that mech up, you can hold those fights a little bit better, but they spot out Tims.
Yeah, they do, and they have the Dream Coil once again. They have the follow-up silence there if they need it, and they probably will, but there's your Rod of Atos, there's your kick away. Kailh will happily take another kill on the puck. Now has the Blink Dagger up, which is going to be even scarier up against this puck. So you're just not going to feel very safe if you're TNC.
It's a lot of control that's going to come in. Again, Karl is their main right now on the side of T1. They do have at least a BKB up on Armel, so a very early BKB up along with a Javelin means that Armel can just focus on jumping in and trying to get a focus fire off without worrying about the control or damage from T1. So you're going to want the Ags upgrade on your puck down the line to deal with the BKBs that will get farmed up. But considering what Karl is going for next, looks like the Ags will take a backseat as he is saving for a Lincoln's first.
KP going back into that jungle is going to barely spot out Zephyr, I believe. In fact, Debbie's going to run straight into him now, but they're going for someone else. They want Whitemon on the Crystal Maiden. Mel chasing with the Wind Run. Whitemon trying to juke this out, but a nice Shackles is going to be there from Mel. However, now they're kind of surrounded. If T1 want to have a crack at this, they could. But it looks like they do want to wait out Whitemon. And that's fair enough. No point really forcing a fight at 4v5. I suppose with only the Crystal Maiden going down, they're not going to be too sad anyway. But Zephyr may also get caught out here. In fact, it looks like KP did not spot him out due to the fact that it is nighttime. Zephyr is also going to be able to walk away. I'm still very concerned for TNC though, John. Like, Jackie's going for an Aghanim Scepter now. He's got the MKB up and they've smoked up. They want to try and make a play with all these items. Level 2 Omni as well is going to be a very dangerous kind of skill up against TNC. We'll see how they do deal with it. They have not seen the MKB yet either. KP, he's going to go in onto Whitemon, who starts with a Freezing Field. However, a Dream Coil is there in the back. They got two massive cores. Moonlight Shadow is there. However, Jackie, he's actually gone down. Mel just locked him down. They have the damage output.
Dire structures are fortified.
Onto Kailh now. Kailh, he'll come out of the air. He's going to try and orb away. And looks like he is going to be able to blink towards the west of the map. But Jackie, I believe it was a Shackles that caught him out from Mel, and he does end up going down.
That's the one issue with his build-up on Jackie. He went all in offense, Mom plus MKB, no Manta style to get a self-dispel or to dodge some of those Shackles if possible. That just means he's vulnerable to control, and TNC managed to get that done. when the Omni Slash doesn't come up, you have nothing to be scared of. So Jackie just couldn't get the DPS out. We saw the Metamorphosis come right through from Gabby, paid off a massive amount in that fight. The Egg also finally dropping, and the team fight of TNC is a lot more consistent if these spells land. Whereas for T1, it really just all falls down to Karl. There's so much pressure in the puck to get control early on to win these fights.
Debbie, he's been caught out. No Egg available, but he can Icarus dive away, and he is going to be fine. Another one of the big problems in that last team fight, John. No detection. So Tim's just pops the Moonlight Shadow, and they couldn't do anything. Jackie couldn't commit the Omni because he couldn't see anyone. It was a very, very kind of strange predicament for T1. And a bit of a unfortunate mistake to not be carrying a Dust. And with that, TNC, they may be feeling confident now with a 4K net worth lead. They may try to smoke themselves once they have meta back up, which is going to be in roughly 50 seconds.
Yeah, and that was a risky play out from Jackie as well. He was trying to take the Roche solo as a bit of a bait, but he dropped really low. So fortunately for him, TNC wasn't in position to punish, but he is going to have to walk back. Jackie is now behind Gabby as well in that farming game. So he was only very slightly ahead before that fight. He's definitely far behind now. The Ags might help Jackie's cause, but it starts to become a bit of a back and forth game where it relies heavily on Gabby and him timing himself around Metamorphosis. If he's got Metamorphosis up, chances are Gabby's just going to win every single engagement. If he doesn't, then you've also got this timing here in Jackie. Like, it's all down to his own Omni Slash. At the least, Jackie doesn't have to use that to farm, so it's always sort of going to be up there if they are going to force a fight. T1, they do catch them out.
Top lane going to be Tim's, and they have the silence out. Tim's, however, nice Yules, but Zephyr is there with the damage output to finish him off.
What is this? A game of some sort?
Tim's doing the right thing, of course, just pushing out that top lane, making more space in the map for Gabby. Now, Gabby definitely has that space. Top of the net worth, bought at 12.5k. Straight for that BKB up next. What they're banking on. Both teams essentially playing the exact same sort of Dota. Standard 4 Protect 1. Just let your carry farm. It is still a very carry-focused kind of meta because we didn't see any economy or map changes. Though in case you weren't here yesterday, I did mention that we are going to see an economy and map change in about a week, apparently. So there you go.
Yeah.
Still Karl being chased up at towards the top lane. KB to have a rough idea of where he's gone, but Karl is just going to orb and eventually TP away. Nice, easy stuff there for Karl. We stay at a 10-8. Still a very slow game.
Yeah, the main issue right now for T1 is the fact that, again, all their team fights basically on this puck. The difference here is that their offlaners do not have that utility. KP's got his split. He can be a nuisance in fights. Cuckoo just throws out his spells and that's it. Maybe he spams some poison attack, but with 2 BKBs now on the side of TNC, you've got Armelts and a fresh BKB on Gabby. Your control's sort of gone. Your damage onto this Terrorblade is most definitely gone for now, as that BKB is going to mitigate a ton of the magic damage, and your one source of control is taken out as well. So it's all down to whether or not Jackie can whittle him down with his own right clicks in the Omni, and we haven't seen the effect of it yet because he was killed in the last engagement. With the MKB, you'd reckon he can, but he has just been farming, so a bit of a farm game here. There's a bit of a smoke, but they're just kind of clearing out the Roche and keeping eyes out for rotation, so no major movements out. The Lincolns is up on Karl, so he does have a way of at least avoiding the control that could come out from our Wind Ranger or even the Yules from our Mirana. It's not going to be as easy to land, but again, both sides are just relatively happy playing this farming game, putting a lot of trust in their cores.
Absolutely. That net worth lead has been dwindling once again for TNC, though. 2k now. Just slowly going back down towards T1. But this Roshan fight is going to spell a lot of what happens in this game, I believe. And that's why you see both teams just posturing around the Roshan. They'll get the MKB up on Armel, and that's going to be time to go now for TNC. Big smoke up. But T1, they're ready on the high ground. This smoke may be broken very early as Cuckoo is going to be in the right position. He'll break the smoke and try to run, but he is going to be caught out and should just immediately die. Tim's going for more now. Finds out Zephyr. A great Yule's out on the Earth Spirit. Should mean a secondary death here for T1, but Zephyr trying to run. There's your shackles out. Armel, however, they will lock him down. That should be enough for them to try for this Roshan attempt with the Metamorphosis up on Gabby.
Yeah, it's going to melt really fast. You've got a ton of damage coming through with our Melts MKB as well. And T1, I mean, they could try to contest with her puck, but Karl's not quite in position. So a free Roche for TNC, first Roche of the game. We're going to have 2 lives up on our Mel, and the game just gets harder and harder for T1. They're still finding Farm and Jackie, but they've lost the straight-up net worth advantage, and this is not a position T1 tends to play from. They almost always play from a net worth lead, so they're going to have to really work an advantage out in an engagement, and so far, none of these engagements have gone right for T1. It's really all just down to Karl, and it starts to become the puck game in terms of control. So a lot of pressure on Karl to just get the initiation, set up for the pickoffs, and if you can't find the angle, then T1 won't be able to really reel the fight in the way they'd want it to.
Absolutely. That mid lane KP may have just spotted out Karl, and now he definitely sees him. One of that 26-minute power rune, but Karl is going to be able to take it away. Very valuable rune to get on the puck, as you already have such low cooldowns. It's making him that much lower is always going to be a very nice effect for the puck. Of course, down at the bot lane, they are slowly starting to work on that tier 2 tower. I don't think Jackie really wants to try and force too much yet. Then again, he does have the Aghanim Scepter. He may want to just work towards the Eye of Skadi before he gets too involved, but he is just so farmed up. Speaking of farm, however, Gabby's even more farmed on that TB and did start forcing down that top tier 3 tower, and it looks like he's not really planning on stopping anytime soon. Gonna keep that top wave pushed out. And of course does force out the rotation from Karl to make sure that they can't go any further. And this is all kind of just adding up to a big blow up of a team fight, I'm sure, between these two. It's one of those games where they're very patient, they're farming all game, but once the team fight happens, people are just going to explode. And it's going to happen in probably a split second, just judging by how much farm Cappy and Jackie have. I feel very sorry for these supports on both teams.
They're going to have to watch out. TNC do smoke up. They've got a lot more time left in the Aegis, so looks like they want to maximize that now.
That's a big target. Jackie is going to spot them out. No Shackles coming out yet. He does have the spin, but an arrow not going to land. Shackles won't either. They're still going to go in onto Zephyr, but he'll roll away. Jackie's still in trouble. However, Dream Coil in the background there from Karl. He's copying a lot of damage for this. He's going to phase shift and just blink out. Tims is going to die. Meanwhile, White One now going to be focused down by Gabby onto Cuckoo. He's been left alone on the Viper. He's also going to go down. Gabby on a double kill. And once again, T1 does not fully commit to the team fight. Half of them go in, the other half stay out of it. Jackie still not really feeling ready for it.
Yeah, this jug is just... It doesn't feel like it's delivering on the net worth they've invested in. Like, yeah, you're clearing out towers. Jackie's not dying. He's only died once, but his activity's minimal. Compare that to how often Gabby's in the middle of these fights. He's 5-2-3. 3 assists on. He's just in the middle of it, getting the damage off, making sure that the investment TNC has spent actually pays off in these fights. Jackie, I'm not sure what he's lacking. He's saving up for the Nullifier now instead, so he's going to have a way of getting some constant purges off, and you have the Ags up on Karl. This is a bigger one on our puck. So those BKBs aren't going to be as disruptive here for T1. At least your puck can find that angle. They need to group up a lot better. They might catch one though, Febby.
Yeah, bot lane Febby. He does have the dive away. He should just be okay, but Zephyr, nice roll, stopping the Sunray off the map. That's a perfect roll out from Zephyr. Not quite the second time, but it won't matter. Jackie, he'll commit the Swift Slash. He will be able to pick up his first kill of the game on this jug. That's the first time we've really seen him get involved thus far. It's a nice start for him. Looks like he's already queued up the Nullifier as well, so just wanting to make sure that he's making it as hard as humanly possible to stop him from getting that big Omni Slash off.
Yeah, it's Gonna be a nice pickup for him. You are still seeing Jackie fall behind Gabby. He is now 2k behind the Terrorblade, which is never good news. Gabby already has the Scotty up, has an Orb of Destruction on top to amp up his damage, and they go Moonlight again. They might go hunting here.
They may. Oh, Arrow does connect onto Kailh. Kailh's going to be all right for now. Armel just hanging around that mid lane, seeing if he can find anything for his team, but nothing's going to be of value. So he does have that new neutral item as well, the Psychic Headband. I do like this one. Plus 12% intelligence, plus 100 cast range. And you even have that Psychic push going on, so it's almost like a Hurricane Pike in some way.
Yeah, it's pretty darn nice, especially in something like the Wind Ranger, so you get a little bit more value coming out there with the Int. You can see TNC still confident, pushing out lanes. They're the ones in control right now. They've got this not massive lead, but massive momentum lead as well.
Flash, Jackie, he used the Swift Slash to just clear out the wave, but he's in trouble now. Looks like he's going to make his way out. Just pops the healing ward down, and TNC, it looked like they weren't really expecting that to happen. Prepared to jump him when he did go for that creep wave. Gabby very confidently standing in front. Run of Atos is going to fly out, but the Nether Toxin was off the mark. Gabby, he just does not fear anything right now, but maybe he should, because Zeph has rolled in, kicks him back in underneath the tier 2 tower, but the shackles, Armel locks of him in. There's the Omni Slash coming through. It's just not going to be enough. Gabby survives through all of it, and KP goes for the big split. Freezing Field, Whitemon trying to get the job done by himself now, but it is not going to work out in their favor. Gabby still has a Sunder as well. If he needs to play around with it, he'll Sunder Tim's up. Kailh waiting around, will jump back in, does clean up Tim's. Gem is... Did he pick it up? Yeah, he did. Kailh is able to get the gem off the deck. But the problem is Gabby is still just pushing away in this mid-tier 2 tower. Zephyr goes for the boulder smash. Now the switch slash out into KB. Shackles, not going to land. The spin is there. A Dream Coil is out though. Gabby in trouble. Is very low on HP, but is still willing to try and fight this one out. And they just can't finish off the Terrorblade. Or maybe they can. Kailh again jumping in. 200 HP on Gabby, but he's just going to run. Febby now to jump back in with a Fire Spirit. And here comes Zephyr with the rollback. Trying to catch out Armel. Is not quite going to be able to get him. And that'll be pretty much it. TNC, I'd say they won that one out. Kind of a close team fight, but it definitely did not go in T1's favor. The only real bright side for T1 there was they still hold on to that mid-tier 2 tower, but that's pretty much it. I guess the fact that they got a gem.
They need a lot more in Jackie. Like, he jumps in with Omni. There's so many targets to bounce to, especially if that Primal Split comes out from KP. And even if you could focus down in the Terrorblade, your damage just really doesn't feel like it's enough. The armor's building up. The stats are up there on Gabby. You do see Jackie pick up a Shadow Blade, perhaps going for that Silver Edge upgrade down the line, so he's going to have a form of break. I don't know if that's going to be enough to handle the damage issue here. It does feel like it's just a way for Jackie to go in and out of these fights, but damage is still the biggest issue. Like, they just don't have that burst. Karl is doing a fantastic job trying to rip up the softer targets, though, but putting all that pressure in one hero, and that's been the story of this entire game, just so much pressure on Karl to deliver, it's not healthy. I think T1 needs to get Jackie on the roll here. After this Shadow Blade's actually going for the BKB so he can stand and fight, but it's really an issue of damage. They just have no way of standing and fighting and finding any single kill without committing like 2-3 ults.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you on that. The thing was, that last team fight, there was quite a lot around Gabby, so the Omni was bouncing a little bit. But definitely, I would agree, even if it was purely just Gabby, they'd probably still have a few issues taking him out. It is probably based on the fact that his armor is just so damn high on this TB. As now they've smoked up again. They really want that mid-tier 2 tower, but they want to kill first. Gabby's going to show up and just start going after that tier 2, while KP is going to jump in after Cuckoo. He gets the stun off on the Viper. They should be able to burst him down fairly easily, but Cuckoo is still surviving. Now the rest of the team does come in. Kailh in the backlines, but they've lost the Viper. Gabby wants to keep going. We'll go on to Zephyr. Zephyr with the Ghost Scepter is going to survive for now. Rolling back in, but he's still in massive trouble. Gabby just standing his ground. Jackie trying to spin, but he can't get any any damage off yet. He has the Omni, but he's not throwing it out, and he might be in trouble. He'll commit now just to try and survive, but it's nowhere near enough. The Manta's out from Gabby. He forces the bounces, and TNC, they... really nothing.
There's just way too much sustain from TNC. Febby, he gets to stand in the back. He gets a full duration Sunray. There's nothing to stop him from channeling that. Karl's the only option to do that. Again, he's got to jump in. He's got to get his silence off with a winning rift, but that breaks up your entire initiation as well. And you're seeing TNC, they're so farmed up. You've got a Basher flying up on KP for whatever reason. The Basher Brewmaster is here. You've got the Basher up here on Gabby as well. He was supposed to get his Abyssal, but he lost his Courier. But you've got every single spike now on TNCs and T1. So many issues that still need to come out. The biggest thing on my mind is like Cuckoo's just not able to do much at all on the Viper. Like, there's not much you can expect from him.
Karl is going to be all right. He'll TP out on the tree line. I actually like this this Basher pickup from KP, because obviously he's going to work straight into the Abyssal Blade. And that Abyssal, I mean, just being able to lock the jump down with some stun is always going to feel nice for KP. Of course, you probably also have one coming out now on Gabby, and yeah, he's got the Basher set up. He's going for that final Vanguard to finish off the full Abyssal. And you're going to have double Abyssals now just flying out onto the Jug and maybe even onto Karl, just to make sure they can burst these guys down before they can really do anything. And that'll make it so you don't solely have to rely on Armel to get all the disables out.
Yeah, it just gives them many more options to go in. T1 is just going to be... They have no answers to that. They have no way of blocking off the stuns. They have no way of protecting themselves now in these fights. It's just a 7k lead, which, you know, it's not massive, but if you look at Dota Plus, it's an 89% chance for TNC, and it's been pretty much their way since this game started, so even from the draft.
KP being caught out. Rodomantos is there. He does have the split, but he's been silenced up. He's trying to survive, but he just can't do it. Meanwhile, Armella, great shackles out, connecting on two again. He's got both supports there, but Zephyr is going to go into that ghost form. Meanwhile, Febby does kill off the Phoenix, or rather Karl does kill off the Phoenix. Another great shackles out from Armel. It's not going to lead to much the second time. Both KP and Febby, both going to buy back.
Radiant structures.
That Roshan is still standing there if both teams want to try and go for it, but of course TNC do commit the buybacks to make sure that T1 can't rush for it. Oh, would you believe it?
Oh, yes, of course.
Gabby got an illusionist cape. Of course he did.
Yeah. I mean, right after that Orb of Destruction, into that illusionist cape as well, and they smoke up. They want to make use of these buybacks.
Oh, nice.
They do have their ults.
Great scan out from TNC as well. They just scan the high ground to see if anyone's up there. They know exactly where they are, so they can preemptively just kind of be ready for the jump in. This is Gabby. He'll go into the Roshan pit himself. This is all just a bit of a bait here from Gabby to try and force a bad team fight out of T1. In fact, speaking of Jackie, he's been caught out by the shackles of Armel. Tims was just stalking him the whole time on the Mirana. Now Zephyr has also been caught out, and he is set to die. Karl, he's going to try and jump in and delay this Roshan. He could be in danger, though. Tims trying to... won't be able to get the Yules off onto the puck. But it won't matter. They'll get something even more valuable. Karl, again, going to continue trying to delay this Roshan process. But unless he can swipe away the Aegis, this is going to be a massive win for TNC. And it looks like Karl has given up. He'll leave it. It's not worth him dying. That'll be Aegis going to the way of Armel. In fact, he takes the cheese as well. Whitemon in the tree line is going to be able to TP out in time. So at least he's going to remain safe on the Crystal Maiden.
Top tower is under attack.
But a great play out from TNC to find out that jug. And of course, Jackie, he did not have buyback gold. He's been buying out to try and get the BKB up. He doesn't keep the gold, though, to be able to buy back and contest Roshan.
Yeah, it's another big win for TNC in terms of objectives. T1, it looked good after they forced some buybacks, but Jackie is just so vulnerable. This has been the issue the entire game. He still doesn't have a way of purging off anything. He has no Manta to dodge out because he went for this Mom MKB build. The BKB is going to help a bit, but it's also not an amazing feeling to use that to just escape down the line. So you've got to really weigh your options here. They take out the outpost here for TNC, getting control in that jungle, and they're just so confident we're running around.
Oh, mid lane, Zephyr
See that?
also being caught out there. Mel once again on that Wind Ranger, being very disruptive and very good at getting these shackles off. See what the plan is, T1. I mean, they've got the BKB up now on Jackie, but network difference. Gabby 10k ahead of the Jug. I mean, Gabby's just out of his mind now. Going for the Daedalus up next. I don't know if they can defend his high ground, especially into the Aegis cheese of Armel.
Yeah, it's difficult. They don't have really the best high ground. All they have is a Dream Coil from Karl. That's it, and they're gonna have to play it really well. But the towers just absolutely melt.
On the bright side, they did lose that ninja gear. Armel, his courier did go down, so he's not holding a neutral item right now. But it won't really matter because Gabby's the main problem, and he has his neutral item. In fact, now the Abyssal Wave comes in. They want the Viper. Cuckoo may just go down underneath the tier 4 tower. He's gonna survive for now. Jackie's trying to man fight this one out. Omni is there. BKB popped by Gabby. A massive Dream Core, but it doesn't make a difference. The Omni bounces. They weren't good enough. They bounced to the illusions. And Cuckoo now is just set to go down. Power shot is out from Armel. A godlike spree on the Wind Ranger.
Under attack.
And they're going for tier 4 towers. Jackie still doesn't have buyback. Can they stop Gabby? I don't think they can. They try, they go in Gabby. He was the one with the Abyssal Wave going in. He eats the cheese, however. Does he survive? The silence is there. A lot of damage out. Roll back in. They do get the Terror Blade. Gabby just getting a little bit too excited there with that Abyssal moving forward. Does get punished. Now another Dream Core coming up. They've caught out Tim's now. The Mirana, silence is out. He's trying to force stuff now. Dagon is there by Kailh. The roll not going to connect, but Zephyr is still going to be able to give vision for Kailh to jump in and be able to secure that kill.
Radiant's bottom tower.
It's still an 11k net worth lead, and they did claim 1 Rax and 1 tier 4 tower. But T1, they are not out of this game 1 quite yet.
Yeah, they're holding on. There's a huge disadvantage in net worth now. We're seeing a lot of issues coming out from Jackie. I think it would have been alleviated if he actually did go for a Battle Fury build instead. At least the cleave means you get some damage off in an AoE. But that's not the case. We'll have to see how Jackie deals with this now. It's certainly becoming all about Karl. It's the one that's enabling some of the softer targets in the back to fall down. You've got really good backup here from Zephyr as well. And Karl is just going full in on the Dagon. Level 5 Dagon up. He's got the Octarine up as well. So much lower cooldowns and spamming that out. Very, very useful to have on this puck. And does mean that the side of TNC are super vulnerable when the BKBs are down.
Wait a goddamn minute though, John. Look at this. Zephyr going for the Aghanim Scepter on the Earth Spirit.
Yep.
That's what I love to see, John. It's not necessarily going to change how this game's going, but you never know what Zephyr could do with this Ags. It can be very, very powerful in the right hands.
Oh yeah, I think it's really nice. It allows them to save, right? Like, especially with Cuckoo. Cuckoo seems to be the bait, and that's all his Viper is good for right now. He stands in front, everyone jumps in. If you have this Enchant Remnant, you turn him into stone, you pull him back, keep him safe, and you're out of dodge. That's one way for T1 to really stall it out here.
I'm thinking more like you turn the enemy into a stone and kick them into the fountain. Because if Gabby wants to be aggressive like that on the Ancient, you can reach the fountain from the Ancient. Especially if he hasn't got the meta up. And that might be one way to really punish TNC if they get too excited. But apart from that, of course, you did point out the save potential there with that Earth Spirit Ags. Of course, he can save himself and kind of surf his way out of the team fight. But Tim's nice yules out into the arrow. It's a big pickup if they can finish it. And of course, Armel is going to land the shackles on the Wind Ranger. And Kailh is going to give a mega kill streak away to Febby on the Phoenix. And speaking of Febby, John, he's also going for his Aghanim Scepter.
Yeah. Going to make his egg have a lot more presence up. And of course, you can save people as well. So you're getting a lot of utility coming out here for TNC. T1, they have smoked up, but they don't have Karl. Could be risky.
It's very risky. I mean, Kailh just offers so much team fight, and even with the Dagon, you have a bit more kill potential onto Gabby. I just don't know about this from T1. It's definitely very unexpected of them to try for a smoke like this, but I don't think it's going to pay off. They are going to give up on it eventually. They're just going to let this go down. High ground is probably the way to go if you are T1 right now and TNC. Well, they've got a full 50 seconds without Kailh. So they could definitely try for this tier 3 and bot racks. And even on this high ground, it's still going to be a very, very difficult kind of defense to try and go after. They'll pop the map. That's pretty much going to be it. The magnetizer's gone. It did nothing, as is pretty standard for magnetize. Doesn't really do too much damage. And oh, now the Moonlight Shadow's out. 2 racks up for TNC. They could just head back and wait for the next Roshan if they want. There's no real rush for them. They're just so far ahead.
Yeah, I mean, they can play this game as slow as they'd like. You're at a very safe point here. With Gabby, he's not under any major threat. I believe he has his refresh flying out here as well. So you've got Terrorblade refresh. That means that he doesn't care too much about when his meta is down. As long as he's got the refresh ready, always nice to see on the Terrorblade. And causes more issues for T1. T1, again, it's really all about Karlh ripping the right heroes in the back line. He needs to watch how far forward he is in lane. You do have the Ags here on TNC's end, on Febby. So his egg is a lot more effective. He can save heroes that drop low. Has just never gotten themselves in a position where they can actually focus the egg as well. So still a lot of issues to kind of sort out here. Even the Hex coming out for Tims. They're just so farmed up on TNC. And T1's just nowhere near.
That Scythe of Vice, it's going to be really problematic, especially if Jackie gets caught out. And of course, he's not going to be expecting this to be on Tims. It's not even Jackie, but Kailh is going to be so influential, and if he gets caught out by the X, he's basically dead. T1 playing this very carefully, are going to back off. The Roshan going to be a minute 20 seconds away, so they don't have that option available quite yet for TNC. But knowing TNC, they will just patiently wait for it. They know it's going to be coming up relatively soon. I would definitely not advise that they go for the high ground for the Mega Creeps until they have the Aegis up. There's just no reason to. No need to risk it when you are in the lower bracket finals of all things.
Yeah, just get that steady win, find the safe objectives. There's still a little bit of power left in T1, and you don't want to give it an opportunity to swing around. You have some buyback saved up here for the side of T1. At least Karlh has this. You've got Zephyr having it, so they've got some potential to go back for a last minute save as well. TNC just playing this patient game, keeping that farm up. You might see KP finish up his Abyssal here as well on the Brewmaster. So once that's up, that initiation you talked about is going to come into play. Makes it harder to run around. The one thing that T1 has to play with, though, is the fact that with these shards upgrading Zephyr, he has vision around the map as well.
Oh, Dream Coil is there in the backlines. They caught Armel out, but Gabby's going to get started. The Omni does kill off the Wind Ranger, but now the Abyssal comes in. Jackie is going to die. He will have buyback gold this time around, but he is not committing it. Onto Zephyr. Gabby will get the job done very quickly, and Tims looks like he wants to chase down Kailh. He's not going to be able to catch him out. However, they have caught out Cuckoo instead. And Cuckoo should eventually just be dead here, although he will try for a cheeky TP play, and he is going to make it. Still a 2-for-1. They may be pretty satisfied with the fact that Armel did go down to Jackie. The problem is they might be forced to buy back because now the Roshan's up for grabs.
It's not going to take too long with Metamorphosis still running. Even while it's down, it should be relatively quick. T1, limited options. You're going to have to fight into the Aegis Cheese plus the Ag's Blessing now. You're going to have even more utility coming out here for TNC. At the least, they did manage to finally get some punishment out on Armel. That was his first step of the game. So good amount of gold coming out from them. And that pickup is just not enough to sway this game fully. Cuckoo did steal the Blessing, it looks like, so... At least he got the courier micro there.
Very nice. Where is Cuckoo's courier?
It died.
Oh.
He picked it up and it died.
Right.
Still stole it, so it's something, but it's not enough to correct the course of this game just yet.
Oh, well. Definitely definitely a blessing, excuse the pun, for T1. TNC. Obviously, they're not going to be too unhappy. Where's the... Okay, KP got the Aegis. Fair enough.
Yeah, it's it.
I suppose they're not really afraid of Gabby dying anymore. Like, he hasn't died for a very long time. He has so many ways to survive. Even the Refresh Asunder if he needs to. Cuckoo mid lane, may get caught by Armel, but it looks like Armel didn't actually spot him out. Still a lot of patience here from TNC, but I imagine they will slowly move their way up through that top lane.
Yeah, they've got the second life. They've got all the items they could ask for. They've got another Hex here on Armel. So they've got so much control onto T1. T1, for their part, I think what they're waiting for now is, like, say, Karl's level Turkey. That would be pretty nice to have all its talents up. He can switch into a right-click build for damage, but again, he's just not itemized to really maximize that, and their towers just fall anyway.
Dagon is going to chip away at Gabby, but he is taking that racks very fast unless a force off comes out into a Dream Coil, but they go in. Omni Slash is there. Jackie doing a lot of damage with the egg. Comes out from Stebby. He will save the day. They could not finish Gabby off. And that Omni may have been enough to save, or rather kill, but Gabby now just going to be able to take down Cuckoo into the tier 4 tower as they go. Kailh going to try and fight, but it's looking very, very tough. They've got to try. They've only got the Swift Slash to play with now, which doesn't really seem like enough. He does commit it, and he does absolutely nothing. And Jackie's been stunned up by the Abyssal Blade. He'll buy back. He's going to have to try and fight, but the arrow comes in. Tims stuns him up as soon as he buys back. And now the Hex comes out. He is gone. This game looks to be over. Whitemon, he will channel the ulti, trying his best to try and turn this around. It is not going to work out. They are just diving the fountain now. Whitemon trying to run as he buys back Gabby. He wants the rampage. Can he get it? It looks like he can. A rampage for Gabby in game 1 on final Sunday. And what a way to finish for TNC at 52 minutes in, just about. And honestly, John, with the way that game started, I thought T1 might be able to take this game 1, but TNC
5 seconds remaining.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are here for the second game of this best of 3 lower bracket final between TNC and, of course, T1. It's MLP Dota. I mean, sorry, Santa and John Xfire. John,
TNC Predators turn
in fact, I probably should stop pretending. It's MLP Dota. I know. I'm great disguise. It is MLP, but John, I have got something. Santa did come to my house. This is his costume. And he's left us some gifts. So I just want to go to my little Santa bag right here. I'm going to start with mine, if that's okay, John.
Sure.
5 seconds
What
remaining.
he got me. Oh, would you look at that? Santa knew exactly what I wanted. A cool, refreshing can of Monster Energy Pipeline Punch, like I like it, John. For you.
Yeah?
He got you something too, John, and I think you're going to be very excited about this. Now, I haven't opened it. It's a very big box. It couldn't fit in the bag. Now, I asked you earlier if you're a good caster this year, John.
Yeah.
And you told me you've been very, very good. You haven't been doing anything disgusting in pub games or anything like that. I'm going to open this up for you.
All right.
John, I'm very, very sorry to say, got a piece of coal.
Oh.
Dire team.
Luckily for you, there is a card to explain what's happened here.
TNC Predators turn to pick.
Jonathan, have you been playing Position 5 AM again, John?
Hey, revolutionaries start somewhere, Mike. Yeah, you got to break a few eggs to bake a cake. I don't know.
That's enough, Jonathan. No more Position 5 AM, please. If you see a Pos 5 AM in your game, it's probably John Xfire. Don't hold back in giving him as much crap as possible. Santa, not very happy with you this year, Jonathan. You've gotten coal for being a bad boy in the pubs.
5 seconds
Very sorry to see it, John.
That's a shame.
Regardless.
At least I could use that in my plants. I'm dressed up. You know, people said I look like a politician, so hey, I'm a big, powerful guy. I've got a coal plant. Send it right over. Perfect for me, Mike. What are you talking about?
With that, Jonathan, of course, Game 2. Now, we saw TNC Predator Game 1. They were looking very, very good. Obviously, a great start for T1 in that first game, but afterwards, you know, it kind of just fell apart. No matter how much farm they got on Jackie, it just didn't seem to matter up against Mel's Wind Ranger, of course, Gabby's TB, and how could we forget Tim's Marana just throwing arrows all over the map and making all kinds of chaos. Game 2, what do you want T1 to do differently?
I think they've got to look at their itemization on Jackie and figure out what they want to do. He got Mask of Madness and MKB at a really fast pace, but they never really fought with it. They just sat back and farmed up. I think if you're going to do that, Jackie should have just went for a Battle Fury instead, and then you'd get a little bit more success in the farming game. Also have to take a hard look on the Cuckoo here. I know the Viper has been fairly popular, it's been rather successful, but something passive like that just doesn't suit how Cuckoo tends to play. He's either a space-making player or the one that sets up plays. The Viper doesn't do either of those rather well. So they do ban out the Viper at the least, and we do have our openings here for both sides. You can see TNC going back to the Enchantress with a Void Spirit. So there's a chance here that we're seeing maybe the KP Void Spirit come true. Maybe even Tim's is a pause for, although that's not as common for TNC. But we do have the Febby Enchantress in play. Highly effective hero still. Lots of heals that can come out. And of course the lane creep, the lane domination Enchantress can provide is rather annoying. T1 for their part, Undying PA start. So they get the Jackie PA up. We talked about this in game 1 if the PA slid through. But if you take a PA up against Gabby, you've got to step up to the plate. Jackie has been delivering with a hero, but that's still Gabby you're up against, and he is an absolute PA beast. So we'll see if Jackie can hold up in that pressure today.
He certainly knows what he's doing on this PA, that's for sure, but I do agree with you. I mean, when you're playing up against Gabby, he's going to know the ins and outs of this hero. Naturally, we did get into a new patch, but the PA does seem very, very strong, due to the fact that it didn't receive that many changes, and as well as that, most people aren't really trying anything too new in this patch yet. It can be a little bit hard to know what to do up against this PA, even with the new tools that have been given to us by the Ice Frog, of course. Still, we'll go into the next ban phase. One more ban left, T1. They are focusing down on the Gabby heroes, and so far we do see the Void Morphling being removed.
10 seconds remaining.
What else don't you want here for Gabby?
5 seconds remaining.
And the Terrorblade's still an option. That's still a good amount of armor that the PA, you know, you do build Desolator, but you don't necessarily want to face off against such a high armor target anyway. Could be an option, I guess. You could also look at maybe an Arc Warden for TNC, although you don't really have the setup here. Interesting that T1 still opts to ban that Mirana, seeming to expect the KP Void Spirit instead, and they do pick up the Shadow Demon that we have seen be fairly popular. This is something T1 can maximize with their PA. Like, you've got Disruption to hold down, don't have the offlaner to set up with that yet, but options are there for Cuckoo. Maybe the Centaur comes in this game, and the Shadow Demon can stack a massive amount for her PA, so Jackie should be able to get a lot of work done in the jungle and play that farming game that he absolutely loves to play once he has his Battle Fury up.
Absolutely. Still going into that third pick now, TNC. They do need another support right now. That Void Spirit will more than likely be a core hit. And they'll have a bit of a think about it. 1 minute 15 seconds reserve time left.
Does feel like they lack solid Tim's hero. Like, the Mirana being taken out does mean that T1 expects the Void to be KP, but instead Bloodseeker comes out. So
yes,
Tim's Void Spirit coming out here, and the KP Bloodseeker is what I think we're seeing. Unless that's an RML here really early on, but again, uncharacteristic of TNC, although they did do that with their Wind Ranger's second pick.
10 seconds remaining.
So maybe TNC's just playing early.
Perhaps. So, when was the last time we saw Tim's play Void Spirit, though? Because I feel like it's been a long time.
A long time. Very long time. But probably it could just be Armel. Leaves them vulnerable, as Karl could just get a pick here. Counteracts it nice. TNC, though, looking at their picks, Bloodseeker plus Void Spirit is really strong. The Astral Remnant into the Bloodrite is just a lot of damage. You can amp up the magic damage coming in as well. The Bloodseeker can also just chase down these heroes that want to run away. PA, when she's ruptured, means she can't Phantom Strike out very safely. So you do have ways of locking in that PA, making it harder for Jackie to jump in and out of these fights, and kind of keep control that way. In the offlane as well, Bloodseeker still holds steady, although you will have to go back to the last hitting, as they have taken out the aspect of just getting sort of passive regen from watching creeps die. You will have to be a bit more active in that lane, but it's not like most players have been sitting back anyway. They tend to just try to maximize their time there. So it shouldn't be too big of a difference for KP. T1, though, it looks like they are kind of stumped here. They've got Shadow Demon Undying, strong supports, but you've already got 2 cores to worry about, and neither support really deals with high mobility too well. They go with the Mars for Cuckoo, so Shadow Demon Mars, Spear setup with the Disruption is fairly nice here.
But you'd say, as well as that, right? Like, you had Cuckoo on a Viper last game. It was kind of like, with the Viper, it's very hit or miss. It kind of tends to fall off during the later stages of the game. At least now with the Mars, he can kind of be influential throughout all stages of the game. Rather than playing this kind of hero that it's very lane dominant, and maybe in the mid game it's quite strong, but afterwards it kind of just falls flat. Especially once you get into the late game, there's not really much you can do. TNC, in fact, will be the ones now to take the jug for their side of things. Now, it's not the easiest of jug games up against the PA. See, there's so many ways to just kind of blink away. You've got the blur there, and the natural evasion that's going to make it very, very hard for this jug to actually get the hits off. And naturally, Gabby will probably also go for an MKB rush on this hero, but do you like it up against this PA pickup? Even the Shadow Demon pickup could make it very hard.
I mean, I can see the mindset behind TNC going for this, right? Like, you've got the spin to get out of Mars. In fact, almost every single piece of control from T1's taken out, except for that Demonic Purge you mentioned on the Shadow Demon. Jug into PA is an interesting one. I'd say Jug is actually okay into PA. Like, you're not going to be very strong early, but the tendency is cores just farm up anyway. So expect Gabby to play a longer game here. Curious if he'll go for the same build, though. Mask of Madness into MKB doesn't sound half bad, but I think I'd prefer a Battle Fury build overall, just because it allows you to flash farm a bit faster. The MKB is definitely necessary here against the PA. I wouldn't say it's too bad for the Jug, actually. I'd say it's pretty darn good. If T1 plays a fast PA game, say just rush the Desolator first without a Battle Fury, go for a aggressive build, maybe it's going to be tough for the Jug to stand and fight against that, but you have to consider that Blur Evasion was nerfed down as well by 5% max. So it's still not as durable as it once was as well if you are playing fast. And Jug is just a natural MKB player, so I don't think it's too much of an issue. What I am worried about is if T1 sneaks a last pick that can kind of control that. We're still waiting for a big Kailh hero to come out here. And if they find the right one, they can start to punish. I'm not sure what's left, though, that will allow them. I suppose something highly mobile, considering that the lockdown of TNC isn't that reliable in this game. So you might see maybe the Puck, that was banned by Queen of Pain. One of the spirits, Ember Spirit, would be okay as well, zipping in and out here, just to tie into team fights. You don't really need to worry about Rupture all too often with their invulnerability state and mobility. Maybe even a Storm Spirit if you wanted to. That might be greedy with P8, but it's a possibility there for T1.
Right. Final ban out though, T1. They are banning out what appears to be mid-heroes right now, just getting rid of the Puck themselves. 15 seconds reserve time left, so there's not really much time to think about this last ban out.
TNC Predators.
And it'll be the Snapfire, so they just want to make sure there's no kind of shenanigans here from TNC. I suppose the Snap would have been very nice because it's a bit of a flex pick, because you can run it as the 4 or run it in the mid lane. And TNC will finish it off with a Tiny, so you still don't necessarily know who's going to be playing that mid lane and who's going to be playing that pos 4 role in terms of the Void Spirit Tiny. It does appear that it should be the Void Spirit mid and the 4 Tiny, I would argue, but it could go either way. It is kind of hard to tell for now.
Yeah, it's really open for TNC. We've seen Armel play the Tiny. That has also been a while, almost as long as we've seen Tim's Void Spirit, but it's something TNC's done before, and we know that it still gets some really decent power spikes. Of course, you've got this nice combination coming out, Mike. Rupture with Toss, always fun to watch. T1 go with a cheeky CK close, so it looks like we're seeing the Karl Mars mid and the Cuckoo off CK, so it looks like the game plan is to crash some PCs.
Absolutely. I'd have it no other way, John. Because this CK does seem very valuable this game as well, right? Like, you look at Gabby, the Omni Slash, obviously you'd like as least units as possible around you when you do commit that Omni. The CK going to make it very, very difficult. Very dominant in the laning phase as well, that CK. Such a high kind of base attack. You can't really kill him that easily either. Well, we'll see what they can get done. T1, they need to win this game number 2 to be able to make it through this lower bracket final, or try to make it to a game 3 at least. TNC 1 game away from making it through to the lower bracket final, and they can make it to the grand final if they win this game too. Of course, Team Dot is going to be waiting around. And, let's see how it all pans out. And of course, by the way, Tim's Tiny, Void Spirit in the mid lane for Armel. Fair enough. Yeah. My question still stands though. Do they have enough to deal with this CK, assuming Cuckoo does go for the Ags upgrade?
They've got decent clear with, say, even just Avalanche plus Bloodright. I'd say Gabby now definitely might really just want to go Battle Fury Rush on the Jug. Battle Fury into MKB sounds a bit awkward, but I think that's the way to go, unless you want to go for a Manta style first afterwards. Still, as the game goes on, I reckon the Jug is going to be enough. But early on, it's a very awkward timing, right? Like, it depends on how fast Cuckoo can actually farm up that Ags on the CK. What timings we'll see on that, if they're going to play super aggressive with it, how long they have to stall out here for Jackie this time around. His timings have basically been almost the same on any core. Jackie's just very comfy playing, taking his time, farming up. So we'll see if TNC will get to punish that once more. But I think T1 are pressured to play a bit of a faster game. Like, play with this really fast timing on the Ags, snowball with the Ags, try to play with the arena setups that Karl will give you here, and go from there. TNC, they've got some good scaling with their Jug, although we've seen that fall flat for T1 themselves. We'll have to see if Gabby can maintain a network lead here, and then you're sort of comfy with no matter what happens. There is a bit of a timer as well where Tim's has to rush his Blink. So the Blink timing for Tim's on the Tiny is going to be extra important really allows them to get the setup. And in fact, that's their main way of initiation beyond Armel jumping in on his Void Spirit. Tim's is his only backup with a blink, so they're going to have to work that up. And it looks like we've got a bit of a toilet break here.
Nothing wrong with a bit of a toilet break, John. Everyone needs a bit of a toilet break once in a while. Though I must say, it is quite difficult to go when you are wearing a full Santa suit, John. So I'm kind of stuck just tanking it. And I'll tell you what, this may not have been the smartest idea, because it's we're in the middle of Australian summer right now, and this suit does tend to have multiple layers of very thick cloth. So you know, we kind of talked about it before the game started, John. I did confirm that I would be going with this costume literally the whole grand final. That's what we're doing. We're not giving up, John. What it gets.
Nope. You are a man of your word, Mike. Gonna stick true to it, and it looks like Karl is done. So, well played to Karl.
Yeah.
He's ready.
Each blow
Been practicing. Very quick stuff from Karl.
It'd be fun to see how these lanes unfold. The Mars mid, you know, it's actually been a while since we've seen, at least in the games we've covered, where Mars has gone mid. We haven't seen it since groups. We didn't see it at all in groups for us. So Karl should still hold steady. I think the value changes on Mars do make it slightly weird, but it's still the same kit. Still probably going to look for the same timings on your Blink, on your Yules. And it looks like Karl is already sort of preemptively queuing up that Yules on hand. So he knows what he wants to go for. He knows what setup he wants. Of course, with the Mars mid, that does mean you're not getting the Shadow Demon Mars combination, as Zephyr's not going to be camping that mid. So any sort of early aggression you can expect with Disruption Spear isn't there. We'll just have to see if Zephyr Cuckoo on the Shadow Demon and CK can get the same aggression out with this duo.
Let's see how it all does pan out. The Banner Runes are set to spawn in about 30 seconds from now. Well, for now, TNC, they don't seem to be very interested in trying to contest the bottom ones. They are just going to sit back and take it easy while T1 take those bottom bounties. Of course, they are going to be able to get the top bounty runes, so it's not too big of a deal for TNC. It's a very even trade once again for this game number 2. Does pan out. KP, of course, up at the top lane of the Bloodseeker is going to be there with Tims on the Tiny. They are going to be up against the Jackie PA. In terms of kill potential, John, I mean, there is definitely kill potential there if you do get a nice Avalanche toss back into the Bloodright. That being said, though, when you've got an Undying to back you up as the PA, once you've got Soul Rip, it can be quite difficult to get through the HB pool of the Phantom Assassin.
Yeah, I'd say Whitemon, once he hits level 3, going 1-2 on his spell build is just going to make that lane harder, although...
Yeah, nice little toss back for Whitemon. He's going to avoid it.
Yeah, it's going to be a steady lane. KP, of course, usual build is Thirst at level 2 just to hold the lane. Not going to see any sort of amplification with Blood Rage. Honestly, I feel like Blood Rage has been sort of underutilized. Say you've got this Tiny, you got an Avalanche Toss combo with Blood Rage up with a Spell Amp, you're going to do a lot of damage, but it's not a priority for a lot of teams. We'll see if that's going to hold steady here, but it should be. You've got Tim's already getting a pull off, so he's going to find his level 2. Something TNC really likes to do. They prioritize Tim's early levels. KP ends up having a bit of a harder time, but he is harassing Jackie out fairly well as well.
That he is. Of course, in the mid lane, we should have a look at the other lanes while we still have a chance. You've got Karl up against Armel. Now, Armel doing a pretty darn good job already. Been dishing out a lot of harassment onto the Mars. Of course, you just saw he went for that Observer Ward and ended up picking it up quite quickly, so Armel getting some bonus gold and XP for himself by taking out that ward. And Karl, he's enjoying himself in terms of farm on this Mars. In terms of trying to slow Armel down at all, it does not look like they're really going to be able to achieve that with this Mars pickup. So it is going to be a much more kind of even trading lane, it seems.
Yeah, it's just going to be a steady farming lane for both sides until you see level 6 come in. No big kill potential. Maybe a support could come true and set up. In that case, I'd say Zephyr is the one to look out for Karl, and for Armel, it has to be Tim's. But the supports are fairly busy. It's going to be just farming and exchanging there. We'll see if that changes anytime soon. Power runes should be sort of important, but not the most pertinent for either side, as it is just steady farming. We'll see if these supports can come through and help them with that. You look down bot. Zephyr is hanging around with Cuckoo. It's the Shadow Demon plus the CK lane. They are up against Gabby on the Jug, and you've got Febby around on the Enchantress to help out. So far, been a steady lane for Gabby. Last hits are looking fairly clean. Cuckoo is not too far behind, but overall, rather even laning start for both sides. Probably waiting for some level spikes. You do have level 3 up in Gabby. He could try to go for spin plays, but you don't really have the best of tools from Febby so far. He does have a nice troll creep with the ensnare. So if they get to cap close out and get the spin tree, it could be a kill, but you have to watch out for that disruption.
That you do. A lot of harassment out from Febby. Of course, the Enchantress just such a lane-dominant style of hero. Very, very hard to lane up against that hero at any stage with any hero. It's mid lane, you look back, Armel still having a great old time. Kailh still remaining very low in terms of HP. Of course, those power runes, I mean, you already brought this up earlier, but it is going to be very, very impactful for either mid laner to be able to pick up that first power rune, especially depending what it is. And, we'll both have empty bottles right now, so both are kind of desperate for it. I haven't seen the supports rotating quite yet, but it does seem as though TNC are bringing Febby over, and you even see Tims on the Tiny moving up towards that top rune spot. And thus far, only one from T1 is coming in, and that's going to be down at the bot rune spot where Zephyr is going to be around. Mel getting very lucky. A DD rune of all things being picked up. Even gets a salve off his support Enchantress, and well, with that, I mean, with the TD, you could pretty much claim that Armel has won the mid lane.
Yep, he should be able to have a good time here last sitting. Karl is just being forced to watch for a bit as that rune fades out. This is really down to the fact that TNC's invested a lot. Like, they've got those 2 wards, watching the rune spots as well. They got their supports out a little bit better. Whitemon was tied up top. So they are putting a lot of emphasis on getting this Void Spirit online, and Armel should be able to deliver. Of course, you are giving Jackie some space up top, but it's still not that steady for him.
Well, Whitemon could be in big danger here. He's been silenced up by that Blood Rider. The toss in, Whitemon still going to be able to get the Soul Rip off in time. Dropping very low. Tim's there to block him off for a second, and KP is able to pick up the first blood. And that's very, very unfortunate for T1 as Cuckoo. He was just a second away from being able to get that bonus gold himself on the CK as he does kill off Febby. Unfortunately for him, though, it does seem as though KP is able to pick up the first blood gold first.
There you go.
Still going.
Cuckoo. Yeah, he's been enchanted up. Gabby just going to go back onto Zephyr as the disruption was there anyway. He preemptively thought, I better just not waste my time on this CK. But now Cuckoo coming back in for the fight. Avalanche, however, going to be there from Tims. He has a mango for the toss in. And with that impetus shot, it is going to be enough to take down the CK. In fact, Febby seeing if he can get lucky with the Shadow Demon. But Zephyr is going to be able to back off in time. TNC will pick up their second kill of the game.
Yeah, just a good amount of gold going in from TNC. Really good aggression here from Tim, seeing the opportunity to TP in, finding kills across the map, and just setting up. They might even find more, camping out those runes.
Well, Kailh gets this one. Haste rune up on the Mars. He does not connect the spear on the Enchantress, but he does end up getting Tims on the Tiny. That's even better, but the Avalanche toss is going to fly through. With that haste, he's going to try and make a run for it. Kailh should be fine to get away as Armel. He'll go on to Zephyr instead, and they do end up getting the Shadow Demon, but now Febby's going to go down, and Kailh is still just kind of taunting them as he runs around in circles. Armel still trying to fight this one out. Goes for an Astral Step. Kailh might just drop here, and he does. Armel able to get the kill. Kailh sticking around a bit too long, and even with that haste rune, it just wasn't going to be enough up against the Void Spirit of Armel.
That is such a big loss. They waste so much time in that power rune. They managed to find one pickup. You trade the bigger hero away. And for Armel, this was a lane that he was already winning. He's just winning even harder now. Hits level 7 now. Just having a lot of impact with his steps. T1 have to be pretty cautious. Their lineup, I mean, Karl can fight early, but you are waiting for everyone else to be online.
Gone back in. They have Febby around to help out. With that Alpha Wolf, he's actually amplifying quite a bit of damage here. But Armel is out of Astral Steps. Still, they have another kill out with the Resonant Pulse. And, well, for some reason, Cuckoo gets the tip. I feel like that may have been a bit of a misclick from Armel, but it won't matter. Kuku, he's going to enjoy the free Dota Plus shots. Very nice
And
stuff.
Armel's going to enjoy that kill as well. He gets to climb up. They're keeping Karl pinned down. It's going to be their major, initiator early on. He's going to be the major team fighter early on for the side of T1. And Karl is forced to smoke to walk back in lane because he has no TP. You never like that feeling as a core having to smoke out, waste that time resource just to get back in, but you have no choice. And look at TNC. Look what Febby's doing. He's just disrupting these camps in the triangle, getting some stacks away. He scouts out the stacks as well, so it's not going to be a free ride here for T1. And we saw TNC do the same thing in game 1. They had early triangle wards, keeping track of where Jack would want to farm, and down the line they contest that farm.
Absolutely. That far.
Where are you going?
He's spotted there, Febby. It's not with the impetus shots, but Kuku is going to rotate on the CK, and that should mean a dead Febby. There's no way he gets out of this one. He gets crit to death by Kuku. Nice little pickup there from T1. Still say TNC is sitting very happy right now. I mean, even look over to Gabby on the jug. His farm's not the best, but he is going for that Battle Fury build-up, which does mean that he is set to escalate pretty quick once he does have that up. Thing is, Jackie is going for the exact same thing, so it is going to be one of those standard kind of pos 1 farming games between the two. In game 1, though, that did end up favoring Gabby. And as I say that, Kuku actually ends up going down to the bot lane. Armel, with the rotation out, does kill off the CK.
Yeah, just setting up for Gabby again, helping him get that initial farm into his Battle Fury. And Gabby was a bit behind Kuku earlier, kind of corrects itself now. Not too far behind Jackie. I'd say you're a lot more scared of the juggle though up top.
Oh, Jackie. No, it's not going to be Jackie. It's rather going to be KP getting caught out. Jackie now going to get ruptured up into the blood right, but he is going to be able to survive. That's a nice rotation out from Karl, going after the offlane Bloodseeker. And KP was farming very nicely in that offlane. Be a very worthwhile kill for T1. As now Karl will just happily back off. T1 will just ensure that Jackie continues to have a very nice time up at this top lane.
Yeah, they're just making sure that the Battle Fury timing is on point. Looks like we might see it within 15 minutes for sure here for Jackie. And he does have some good stacks up. They just need to be aware that their triangle is just constantly invaded by Febby. They need to punish this Enchantress. They've gotten a couple of kills. They have gotten the D ward off as well. But I'd say the sooner you can clear these stacks, the better, because the Juggernaut can clear it fairly well as well with his spin. And you can even commit the Omni Slash early now if you wanted to.
Nice kill there. Armel and Tim's able to clean up Zephyr. And an immediate smoke out. Now Armel, he doesn't have any Astral Step charges. He might be able to get one by the time they reach an opponent. So they are going to be banking quite a bit on the Avalanche toss opening of Tim's. And they'd love to find this PA who is very low in terms of mana and HP at the moment. Jackie, it looks like he is barely going to avoid death as TNC are looking into the mid lane. They were having a look at Karl, but Karl has retreated back down to the bot lane. So instead now, TNC, they spot out some stacks and they will happily take those instead. Not the worst, not the most worthwhile smoke out from TNC, but they get something for their trouble.
Yep, this is still hurting Jackie a lot more, and they invade that tier 1 bot. KP not actually spotted out, so he's saved. That's kind of insane that they did not spot him out. He is going to be just fine to get out. Now they notice he was there the whole time. And it's just a bit too late, so a nice little sneaky spot there by KP. And while that was happening, mid lane, TNC, they start getting that T1 mid tower pushed in. It is going to be fortified. The siege creep is also going to die. Does make it slightly harder. But you can kind of see how confident TNC are around the map right now. They just aren't really afraid of anything from T1. We'll just keep occupying this dire jungle. They do have stronger heroes early. They've got this Tiny that's very explosive even without the blink. You've got KP who's just making use of the space really nicely in the hard lanes that are left alone. And Armal's just got this way of jumping in and punishing anyway. So it's forcing T1 to play a lot more safe. They've only got the triangle so far to clear out. You do see Jackie starting to clear some of the ancient stacks, but without the Battle Fury, it's all down to Blur. Once that Blur fades, is going to be a bit vulnerable to taking damage, and you see TNC just constantly shoving the top tier 2. So it forces a response out from T1, and it's just not quite lining up. This is definitely favoring TNC as they control the top jungle and the bot jungle and their own triangle. So many more spots to be efficient with farm. And so much protection here for Gabby. He's just allowed to really build up in this jug.
He is. So is Jackie, though, right? Like, he's still just roaming around the map, just doing classic Jackie farming stuff. And, well, he's one item away from having that Battle Fury up now. Very, very close in terms of farm, Jackie and Gabby. Dire jungle is still being occupied by TNC, and they are still looking down that mid-tier 1 tower. You have got the enchanted creep there by Febby, so you can just let that tank for you and you can get started on getting a bit more damage out. Wyman's going to preemptively drop the tombstone, and Kailh was moving in for the arena, but Armel is going to be able to dissimulate away from that position.
Radiant's
It's going to be just fine.
is under attack.
While that's happening, I mean, Gabby just keeps pushing out the top lane as well. So very aggressive stuff. The jug, but Spin is going to be there. Still, he'll go for the purge instead. He does have his team coming in to back him up, and without this Spin, Gabby, he might be sitting up, but a great avalanche shot from Tim's. Gabby's still trying to... What was that damage? Ooh. How many shadow poisons do they have on the guy? Kailh, you'll find another.
He took 1,417 magical damage. Jesus Christ.
Middle tower.
I think he was also, yeah, he was affected by Soul Catcher. That just burned right through him. Rather unfortunate.
Yeah, he's going to be fine. He just TP's away. KP, no way to cancel the TP yet. That was a lot of damage out. I didn't quite see the Shadow Poison stack, so I wasn't aware that that was kind of happening from Zephyr. But boy, oh boy, they just blew Gabby up.
Yep, just a lot of damage coming through. You got to respect the damage on the Shadow Demon. It can really nuke you down. You don't have any stat items here on Gabby. So putting a dent in the jug here, big win for T1, drags that net worth lead down. They are catching out one big hero here, though.
Yeah, Jackie getting caught with his pants down is not going to feel very good for him. Going to come in, a nice spear out. He catches out Armel, and with that, the purge does come in, though Armel is going to dissimulate, pops the illusions as well. Shadow Poison, it's only going to be one stack. So he's going to be able to survive through all this damage output. That was a lot committed by T1, and they don't really get much out of it.
They lose their big hero as well. Jackie just too far forward. He does have his Battle Fury up. This is when Jackie should just go back in that jungle, clear out the stacks again. The support should just build up some stacks, and rather awkward pause typing as Cuckoo is alone up top, and you see Gabby, and you've also got Armel freshly TP'd in. Might be looking to reveal this fresh Yule's up for a kill.
Uh-oh. Can Gabby get this kill, though? It's no Phantasm on Cuckoo. He does have the illusion already out, though. Armel is around the corner, so that's definitely going to help. In fact, with Armel there, that probably is going to be more than enough.
So Omni Slash is not going to be as strong, as it's not too far off. If it stalls out for like a second or two, that creep wave is going to be right inside bounce range. Not going to be very comfy for Gabby. And it's a bit of a risk to take a fight. Like, if you win this fight, you might have your Claymore ready to go very fast and finish up that Battle Fury for Gabby. If you don't win, well, then it's kind of a waste of time. But they have a wave to clear out at least. But we'll see what happens. Seems like some lag issues here. Cuckoo was the one to say that Dota was favored by his ISP. Doesn't look like the case right now, Cuckoo. No? Bit preemptive with your claim there earlier. PLDT.
Yeah, it definitely was a bit preemptive for sure. I'd say any kind of comment is pretty preemptive when it comes to that specific company. There we wait for Cuckoo to be back. Does reconnect very, very quickly. ready to go ahead, and yeah, there we go. Ready to go. Gabby gonna move his way in, but it looks like Cuckoo is gonna be able to back at least for now as Armel. Aether Rim not gonna land, and that'll pretty much be it. In fact, they don't even find him with the TP out. They did have the Yule Scepter available on Armel, but it's not going to be very useful if you can't see the hero, and Cuckoo, a very nice little blind spot there to be able to TP himself away from danger.
Yeah, just saves himself right in the nick of time, so that wastes Armel's TP a bit, wastes some time on the Void Spirit. We really do want to start finding some more kills with the Yule's up on Armel. It's going to be itching to find some kills, but so far, just not finding the opportunity. Maybe here on Zephyr.
Zephyr would be nice. They have caught him. Zephyr is going to go for the disruption, but he is in big trouble. Just delaying the inevitable there, and KP will take the kill with the Blood Right. On some more, they don't really have the Rupture now, so Whitemon should be just fine to walk away, and so should be Jackie as well. Of course, they have the Rod of Atos, but it's probably not going to be enough. And with that, TNC once again back into the mid lane, just applying more pressure onto that tier 2 mid tower. And we saw a very similar thing in game 1 with TNC. Just really trying to focus in on making sure someone's always in that mid lane, trying to defend the tower. And while they do that, of course, they go back to the Dire jungle and take that over. Which kind of allows everyone on the side of TNC to get so much farm in.
Yeah, they're just really efficient on the map. The one boon here for T1 is that Jackie is farming quite well by himself, but Gabby's not too far behind. It's the same story from game 1. You don't have a considerable enough lead on Jackie to really be comfy, and Gabby, he's got his own Battle Fury ready, so he's just going to be keeping pace. You're never going to have an item advantage on that PA.
No, that you are not. Big smoke up now, T1. They want to try and make a team fight happen. This is before they have the Ags on the CK, so it's not going to be as strong as you would like, but he is still able to fight early on, but still TNC now going for a counter smoke. Kailh is going to be the one to break it. A blink away from Tims. KP getting caught out by the Yule Scepter. They get the spear off as well, but a nice toss away from Tims back into the neutral camp. KP still in big trouble. Drops the Blood Right. Has the Rupture as well. He's been perched up. Dissimulators there. KP does eventually die. Does not get the Rupture out. Meanwhile, Armel getting skewered, or rather speared down to the low ground. He had no way out either. They are still going after him. Armel, Rift is not going to be there. Still in trouble. Is going to Resonant Pulse, running away. Now the Omni comes out, Gabby. It's going to be a decent Omni. A very slow kind of attack out, but they can go after Cuckoo now. The Phantasm Illusions are gone, and they will get the CK as well as Whitemon on the Undying. And overall, it looked really bad to start, but on top again.
Yep, they're going to be happy enough with finding those kills. They come out on top, keeping Cuckoo down. This CK, the timing into Ags is not going to be as quick as you'd want it to. He's taking the backseat in farm. He's copying the deaths for his team. This opens up a bit of an opportunity as well to shove that top tier 1. They do not have Gabby around anymore though. It's just Tims and Febby, but Gabby's going to get some space out for his own farm. So overall, still playing in that game plan that TNC loves to do, and they're just going to force T1 to make a play.
Oh, nice blink in from Tims, knowing exactly where Zephyr was, but Febby can't tank the tier 2 tower hits. Kailh's going to come in, should be able to land this spear. Meanwhile, Tims trying to TP away, but he will get punished for this. And poor old Febby was trying to back up his boy. It does not work out the way they intended. Zephyr does survive, and TNC will lose 2 supports in the process.
Good come around from T1. That kind of compensates for what they lost in the last exchange. They do get a bit of a bounce back there. They are still finding steady farm coming through. You can see Gabby was playing a bit aggressive farming in the enemy triangle, but so far it is paying off as there's no real punishment to stop him, especially once he spins out. So perfectly fine here on TNC's end. They are still waiting for T1 to finish up this Ags on Cuckoo, but they have this Desolator up on Jackie. So he can start melting some heroes if he wants to jump in, get some damage off. The BKB is going to be a lot more important though. And that should be the point where Jackie goes into fight once the BKB is up. Compare that to the timings that Gabby's going to be doing. He is saving up for a Sanj. Looks like he might go for a SNY build here. fairly standard, but it does mean you're not going to have a way of getting through that evasion on the PA here.
KP and Bebby trying to move into this high ground, but KP's been caught out by disruption. They aren't going to make the jump in, however. They were a bit afraid that TNC may have been right behind KP, but he was, in fact, only with Febby. Of course, Gabby came in from the later stages, and Tim's was to the north. T1 still being very, very careful, still just trying to buy time for Jackie just behind Gabby in terms of farm for now.
Oh.
Top lane, Arena has been dropped. Armel going to be in danger. He's going to assimilate back up to the high ground, and now the Omni does come out once again from Gabby. It doesn't kill anyone off though. They'll turn back around. Armel is going to die, but Tims jumps in. He kills off Cuckoo on the CK. It's going to be a 1-for-1 as Tims tries to TP away. He will get punished by Jackie, and now they go into Febby, who's just trying to run, but he will not make it out either. Great team fight out from T1 and TNC, maybe just getting a little bit too excited jumping in like that. The Jug is going to take a bit more farm to be as effective as they would have hoped.
Yeah, it's just a slower pace of the game for the Jug. You just don't have this early spike with the great crit that you have on the PA. You've also got great durability. SNY is done on Gabby, but he's saving up for that NKB, and that does mean Barosh is set to go for T1. You don't have any heroes up here from TNC to counteract this. They are sort of close by, though, so they might still opt to do something here.
They may. Ooh, one right does fly to Zephyr. Oh, poor old Zephyr. Gabby's just going to stand there like, wait a minute, did that just... I guess it did just happen. Into the Roshan, Gabby. An early Christmas present for himself. And that is a real disaster for T1. They lose a hero, they lose Roshan, they lose everything, and now they might even lose Jackie. He's been caught out. The blood right's there. He can't blink away in time. Oh, it's a disaster out for T1. In fact, Armel's going to jump in now. He has an Aether Remnant in a second. He will not catch up Kailh, but instead he goes on to Cuckoo, who does kill off Febby. Arena's going to be dropped. Kailh, a nice spear. In fact, it is only going to be on Armel, who is just fine. They can't follow up with the damage output, and that means Cuckoo is going to die in the CK. So T1, they went from a great team fight into a Roshan to losing Roshan and then losing a bad team fight. It was, it's a real problem here for this Dire side, and now they might even lose Kailh. Hims is still going.
Oh.
Avalanche does connect very nicely. He tries to run out the other way, but he's been caught out. KB is there with the Rod of Atos into the Aether Remnant, into the Blood Right. He has help coming in, but White One actually cancelled off the TB. I think Kailh thought he was safe with the Undying coming in. Maybe a bit of a misclick coming out from Whitemon to cancel that, but just an unfortunate series of mistakes being made by T1 is really starting to cost them.
Yeah, it's not looking good anymore. You've got this huge lead on Gabby. He's 3k above Jackie because of those deaths, and I'm not sure if T1's going to have anything to stop us. We've been talking about the CK and the AGs coming through, and you were asking me if they had enough on TNC's end. It looks like we might not even get to see it, as it's still about 1.3 away. 1.3k away for Cuckoo, so he still needs some farm. He doesn't have space in the map to do it. They're giving it all to Jackie, and they're just not able to meet those timings. You've got some good item pickups here from TNC as well. Armel has his own Ags. He's got that Resonant Pulse Silence up, and that just gives so much more utility to their Void Spirit. They take a clean tier 2 for free. They still hold on to the Aegis. T1 have to find a way to win these fights. It's been messy for them in the past 2 engagements. Ever since they left Roche, they just bailed way too fast when it was low, and they should have known it would have been easily invaded by TNC.
Oh, here they come. TNC jumping straight in. It's going to be Whitemon who gets targeted. A nice disruption is there from Zephyr. He will save the day for now. Whitemon will just heal up with the Soul Rip. If we're talking 5v5 team fight right now, I don't necessarily think TNC is going to outright win out the team fight. I still think you are very worried about the Jackie PA in comparison to the Gabby, the Gabby Jug right now. But I dare say, I dare say once he has the Ags up on the Jug, that's when things get very, very scary.
It does. I think even without the Ags right now, it's still pretty darn nice. Like, he's got the MKB flying through. Jackie needs this BKB, and he needs to use these initial charges very well in the middle of a fight. Even then, it's not necessarily going to keep you too safe, but it does increase your chances. Still, the high ground's being melted, and well, Gabby's got to watch out for the magic damage from Zephyr.
Still has the Aegis, so he is kind of confident here. Eventually, he will. That Shadow Poison, it does really do a lot if you get enough stacks up. Still a big smoke out now, TNC. Of course, they did see Jackie down towards the south of the map, so they could rotate that way if they wish. But it looks like the smoke was, in fact, broken by Kailh on the Mars. So now Jackie, well aware that they were trying to smoke into himself, and he's just going to go back towards his own base.
Dire's courier has been killed.
While the rest of TNC, they'll just continue controlling up the map. They do give the Dire jungle back the way of T1, but they get the triangle for themselves, which is a bit more valuable. And in fact, they aren't going to give it away for too long either. Armel's going to start roaming through this Dire jungle, and in fact, he does find out Zephyr. The Remnant is going to lock him down. The blood right there with the Rod of Atos. And poor old Zephyr just can't do anything about it. Now Kailh is get run into by Gabby, but he does have the Yules up. Be able to just use it and get himself to safety immediately.
They've stalled out long enough here on T1 to have that BKB up on Jackie. Now the key thing is to use this well, to get their initiation right. They've got the Ags up on Cuckoo. Have used it, but they haven't shown it in the big fight. So they're going to have to get that off next. You do have the tools to start fighting now for T1. It's a bit difficult.
Called the CK out. Cuckoo, gotta be cautious. He's been silenced as well. He needs to run, but the Omni is gonna fly out. He gets the Axe ulti off. But Whitemon is not gonna be saved. Well, KP getting the wrong illusion, and Kailh will let him know about it. While that was happening, of course, the Aegis does also expire on Gabby. They'll back off. They'll get back towards trying to farm up that Aghanim Scepter on Gabby. And for T1, I mean, the PA is looking strong, but nowhere near strong enough.
No, it's just not off to that running start you'd expect. They've been very passive with this fresh BKB on Jackie. Looks like they want to wait for the Basher, maybe even the Abyssal to be done up first. But that is going to be a little bit more time. The map control issue that you've been mentioning is still in play. Look at all the wards here from TNC watching the triangle, watching the entrance ramp in that top jungle as well. Nowhere safe for T1 to roam with. And they do smoke up. They want to actually maybe get a good team fight going. They're going to have the Phantasm back up in about 10 seconds. So this is a good chance to get that off and get a win.
Into the mid lane, Armel would be a massive pick-off to get, and they get the Yule Scepter off. Kailh gonna drop the arena and gets the spear, and that should be one dead Armel. And it will be. Kailh, he'll return the tip back towards Armel now. Into that mid-tier 1 tower they go. Jackie trying to get some damage out. They don't have a creep wave, but it doesn't matter because it is a tier 1 tower. They can slowly but surely just deal with it.
Has fallen.
That'll be it for T1. They get an objective, they get a kill, they'll get back to farming.
Yeah, waiting for these key pickups to be done here. Jackie should be a bit more comfy once he's got this Basher. He's got a way to keep the jug pinned down. If he does start getting a bit slippery. You also have the BKB up now on Karlh, so he's not as worried in the front. He can be a lot more confident in throwing out his arenas and getting the setup for the team for T1. So a few more options in the initiation here. I'd say TNC, they are playing a bit passively, but you have the Ags and Gabby, so more uptime on the DPS for a jug. More ways to deal with the Phantasm spam with just Swift Slash coming through. And they are stalling out long enough that they could probably just wait for the next Roche. We're going to find out in about half a minute when the respawn will be. Once that timer is up, and if it respawns fast enough, TNC could just go for an easier objective first before starting to pierce that high ground.
Outpost going to be taken here by Tims, but Kailh is going to interrupt. They're going to be there to try and be annoying towards Kailh, and they are going to be able to get it prior to that 30-minute mark. But they do deny away the XP from T1. That'll give them a slight XP advantage here on TNC, I believe. In fact, I don't even know why I'm guessing. We can just check, and well, they were already pretty high up there, but it just goes even higher now. T1, they are still just kind of stuck, waiting for their PA to feel like she can fight.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
TNC, I believe they are probably going to wait out that next Roshan attempt, which should be coming up very soon. It's going to be 2 minutes away. Phantasm popped. Very low cooldown. They can just kind of throw it out like that. It's like Cuckoo's just trying to use it for scouting purposes for now.
Not much else you can do with it. They do get the basher up on Jackie in the downtime. So with the information out from the illusions, they could maybe make a play, but they are in the low ground, so it's a bit of a risk.
Baby, you're going to get jumped straight off the bat, but Armel is going to be there trying to just burst down Whitemon. He's going to survive for now as the arena does jump through, but the Omni Slash is there. Zephyr coughing so much damage, and Jackie is already dead. Gabby tipping in the middle of this team fight. Kailh will just blink up to the high ground and TP out, but Cuckoo has been left behind on the CK, and he is set to die. A triple kill out for Gabby. That was a great little Swift Slash into the Omni Slash, baiting the side of T1 in.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Just saw how fast the PA just melted to the damage of Gabby.
That is
TNC, John, they're looking very close to going straight through to the grand final. In fact, Tim's trying to jump in, does get used up, but they'll get Whitemon instead of Kailh. And that top lane of Barracks is not going to last very long at this rate. In fact, Armel going back in now after the Mars. Resonant Pulse silence. There's your Remnant as well. Gabby going to be there with the spin up. And with the run of Atos, they are going to hold him down. Into the mid T1 tower they go, TNC. Trying to find 2 lanes of Barracks, and I believe they are going to be able to get away with this.
Yeah, there's just no defense here from T1, no buybacks. They need their Mars up to really force a fight out. They're probably going to lose all their racks, quite honestly. There's just nothing to stop TNC. Buyback is up on Karl, but this is just ridiculous. Gabby has the shard up as well, so he's got an extra attack from his Blade Fury while he's spinning. Always nice to see these shards being picked up. Respawns are coming in, but I don't know if they have enough damage.
Oh, they're going to try. They pop the Phantasm. They go straight onto Gabby. He's getting a lot of damage dealt to him. He's going to be alright for now. He's trying to spin away. They'll jump back onto Jackie, but Jackie is willing to try and man fight this one out. Meanwhile, Cuckoo also dropping low in that arena. The Blood Rite is going to be very nice, but they get Tims. Cuckoo does also go down. Now Armel being used up. Can he find his way out? He should be able to. He does have the step up. Kailh is going to chase him down. Dagger does actually connect. Mel has another Dissimulate soon. Spear will not latch. Another Astral Step into the TP, and he believes he is out of there, and I would agree with him. A very nice kind of escape there from Armel, and Tims will give him the tip for that.
Yeah, it's still, I'd say, a good last-ditch defense to save their last set of racks. They do find some punishment here on T1. Whether or not that's enough to shake it off is a different question, yeah?
New item, John. How do you pronounce this?
Generation.
Is it a silent P? Glaney? Or is it Gleipnir?
I don't know how to pronounce stuff like that. I would say Gleipnir because that sounds more fun.
Mel gonna find out Whitemon and take him out. Now Zephyr trying to fight back. He does have the Aghanim Scepter available on the Shadow Demon. So he's got plenty of those Purge charges, and they desperately need to try and stop this Roshan from going to the way of TNC. Because that Roshan is going to make it so they can go for the Megas, and in fact they jump back in. It looks like Tim's going straight after Zephyr on that Shadow Demon, does burst him down. Swift Slash is there from Gabby. It's only on illusions, however. Kailh going to blink away on the Mars, but the 8th Remnant out from Armel, catching out the CK, and this will have Atos, his Gleipnir or whatever it is, just flying everywhere from KP. They catch out the CK. I believe it does damage now as well, right? Damage.
Yep.
After the root comes in. Not too bad.
I'd say it's really darn good. It's been giving the Atos an upgrade path, more utility down in the game. Always nice to see that scalability. TNC get a clean rush, have the Aegis cheese now. They can just opt to run their bodies down into that last set of racks. And T1, their options are really limited. They've still got decent farm on Jackie. He's saving up for Divine, but it's not going to be up in time for the defense here.
No, it definitely will not. He's trying to keep that bot lane pushed out, but TNC, I'm pretty sure, just going to ignore him completely. Spear to get started from Kailh will bison them sometime. Tim's doesn't get the avalanche he wanted. Gabby. Oh, Jackie dumps in. He wants that Aegis to the immortal, but Gabby is able to get the Omni off. Not going to be enough though, but Gabby, he does eventually get the kill. In for more Cuckoo. He stuns up the Junk. They at least kill off the Aegis. They can. Jackie, he brought back for that. That's the first life. Kailh, Spear is going to be nice. Onto the racks. Gabby getting very, very low. Is going to die. Jackie, he gets a double kill. They need more than that, though. After Febby, they go. The Enchantress should also be dead, and Jackie will be able to get a triple kill as they go back into the bot lane after Kailh, who's just trying to man-fight this one out, and he almost takes them out. But an ultra kill out for Jackie. And that's going to mean they at least hold on to that final lane of barracks. And that's certainly going to be good news for T1.
Yep, they're now really relying on those last that are executing them through. Gives them a playable lane, gives them some source of gold still in the lanes as well. So Jackie, buy back down in a bit of a risky spot for the next 7 minutes. He is just going to opt to try to buy out that Divine. It's an all-in play now. And all they can hope for is just getting those lucky crits off. If the PA is allowed to do this, though, this is a very scary moment for TNC. And they're going to have to watch themselves here. Some opportunities for T1 to get a couple of objectives. Maybe a tier 2. Doesn't look like they have that much time left, really, to get that done. But taking the Aegis away is already a really big win. Like TNC now, they're going to be a little bit more cautious going into the high ground. They still hold a cheese, but it's not going to be enough. Hold a
Yeah, Armel wants to have a crack at Cuckoo. Cuckoo is a bit tanky to take out by himself. Does eventually back off to come back with his team. TNC just hanging out as 3 in their base. That Divine, 1.2k gold away now for Jackie. Like you pointed out, that Divine, it's the Hail Mary play. It's the last option they really have. But it is going to make it a very, very scary game for TNC. And it only takes one bad team fight to turn this game around.
Yeah, and that's really it. Like T1's just teetering on the edge. If they find a big win, they might be able to push it all the way back, take a couple of tier 2s, even out the map control, and suddenly they're back in this game. Have to point this out as well. Tim's actually went for the shards. So Craggy's back, baby.
I mean, why not though, right? Like 20% chance that they stun themselves. Kind of nice up against the PA. It is very infuriating to have to play up against. Especially if you are Jackie and you're just trying to kill someone quickly, but then you get stunned for a second. It's not going to feel very nice. Could mean the difference between life and death.
Something that they've got to be aware of on the side of T1. They are really inching towards that Divine here, Mike. 600 gold off for Jackie, and then I think that's when they start casting the dice and seeing where it lands. TNC, for their part, just invading that jungle once more, taking the outpost right before the 40-minute mark once more. You could expect T1 to maybe invade the bottom outpost in exchange, just to get some EXP going, and if they do get the pings out, Whitemon will get started. So starting to even out where they can play on the map here for T1. I was going to say Dota Plus was going to say something, but it says 100% for the side of T1. So,
Dota Plus always knows, John. It always knows. It's been 100% chance this whole game, so I'm glad I spent my money wisely, John. Doing a great job. Thank you, Dota Plus. TNC going to keep moving as a unit with this smoke up into the mid lane.
Gotta watch out here, Mike. Divine's up and Jackie. So if they get caught behind, that could be a couple of kills going their way in T1.
He's critting for 3k right now. That is a very scary predicament here for TNC, and they do not know about it. Kailh actually pops the Minotaur horn for some reason. Might have needed it too, as they look like they are going to engage. Baby. He just gets destroyed by Jackie. Immediate crit out with the tagger. And now they know for sure he's got a Divine Rapier up. They get the Yules up though on Gabby, but he'll spin away. Febby will buy back. Jump in. Oh, Cuckoo, there's the Craggy Coat we talked about. He gets stunned up, and now the Swift Slash is going to be there. Zephyr with the save, with the disruption, but it is not going to be enough. They've lost the CK, but he will bite back. Now the Omni flies through. Whitemon dropping way too low. Karl's in trouble as well. The Mars, can he survive? It doesn't look like he can, but he gets the spear off in time. It's not going to be enough though. Still Jackie with the Divine Rapier. He rips Gambit to shreds. Going for more now. The Hail Mary play. Trying to fight by himself with the Rupture. Toss away Jackie. He's not dead yet. Armel's trying to find him. He gets bashed up though. Armel needs to find a way out. He's going to try and fight. KP does get the kill. Where's the Divine Rapier?
You did your best.
Did Armel get it? Yeah, he did. Armel still sort of runs away as KP will stick back around to go after Cuckoo. There is no buyback available right now on Jackie nor Cuckoo. And that should be enough to go for the GG push.
Definitely. Armel hits like an absolute truck. 500 damage per right click. Void Spirit. It was so close. It looked like the PA was going to get it, but when you rely on luck, sometimes the dice just doesn't roll your way.
KP going to just jump straight in. Karl, oh, he would have loved that spear on KP, but it's not going to be there. Very, very close call. And that'll be your first tier 4 tower gone. Baby going to get started on the other. Of course, he doesn't really mind too much if he dies. Now Armel going to jump in, but misses the 8th Remnant. He just wants to buy as much time as possible. The thing is, he is the Divine Rapier carrier, but he's going to go for the dieback onto Whitemon. The spear is going to come out with the arena. They can't afford to lose this Divine now. Armel dropping low, but not low enough. He's going to be able to dissimulate out, and the Ancient is exposed. They still have 50 seconds without Cuckoo or Jackie. And they're going to come back in. Spear is going to be there onto Tim's, but Armel straight into the backlines going after Zephyr. No, it'll be Whitemon going down. That's a dieback. Armel still wanting more. We'll kill off Zephyr on the Shadow Demon. Going back after Karl, but the GG's been called, and we do have our second grand finalist. It is going to be Predator winning this lower bracket final 2-0. And that does mean they'll go back up to the grand final to play up against Team Dog in a best of 5.